you've done in a week. 4 days. You guys are awesome. Even Dan yesterday at lunchtime is just impressed with where you are at. What from this week of building do you not want to forget? What is it this week? What's happened? What are some things you don't want to? You want to be sure you remember these little tidbits.
So Nelson, I've been struggling with the framing measurements. I was hoping you could help me understand where those come from and just a little bit more clarity on them.
Yeah, absolutely. So real quick, they come from the plans, but let's go over that again and let's get in there and see how I can help you solidify that in your mind.
Awesome, thank you.
All right.
So you marked the center as the first one and then 16 from every one, but from the outside of the post?
Oh, so let's go over here. I'll show you. So what's the measurement I actually need to mark the edge? 15 and a...
Is it a half or
Nope.
5/8?
Nope. It's a quarter.
Oh, a quarter.
Do you see that?
Oh yeah, okay.
There, if you get closer, right, you can see that.
And this one's just a wall.
This one's just a wall.
Nothing
So
else.
did that make sense over
That
here?
makes a lot of sense. Really understanding the plans and how every stud goes on every 16th and what the center, when they refer to it at center. I was like, center of what? I thought it was like the center of the house, but they're 16-inch centers of the stud. So all of it really makes a lot more sense now. Well, I think it could be a little intimidating, honestly, because there are quite a few guys here that have been doing this, that do have experience. I think anything new is always a little difficult, but what I have learned in life is that if you don't ask the question, you're not gonna get an answer. So sometimes even you have to just get over your embarrassment and just ask the question. So now I'm gonna show you what I just learned. So you measure all the way from the outside of this post right here, and then your 16-inch is gonna be the middle of that stud, okay? And then you measure 3 forwards to the left, 3 forwards to the right. But other than that, all the way around, you're gonna be looking at every 16. And the center, 16-inch centers, I was so confused about that. It just means that it's in the middle of the stud. A lot more confident, because right now I was just like cutting the 2x4s just at whatever they kept telling me to do, but I didn't truly understand all the measurements that they were taking. So this really makes a lot more sense to me now. And I have a little bit of a better understanding of the blueprints too. So I was, simple fix, which is good. But we just measured these a little bit farther down instead of on the 16-inch center. And we're gonna just move them down. The good thing is that we hadn't used the nail gun yet, so it does a lot of work. So we're good. We're just gonna move them over. These marks, they were a little off because we measured from here instead of the outside post, so that made that 3 inches of a difference. Double, triple check your work before you start nailing, because it's painful when you use the nail gun and then you have to pull all of that stuff out. This says 1, this says 2. We have the Tico in the center of that. So this is 16. Okay.
Mark it right there at the 15 and 1/4. And then you just put your Tico there, and then you pull your 16 from center on there. And then instead of having to do your measurements, you just line up your left side of your beam on that. And then...
Perfect, so then we have to do the measurements again.
Yeah.
We're just verifying, we're quadruple checking now to make sure that we've got the center pieces where they're supposed to be. And since we have other marks, we want to make sure that we are really emphasizing the final ones before we start nailing it in.
Are you done nailing this in yet?
We've had 5 different people throw stuff on.
Did he tell you about the story? You're already telling them, Rick. Wait till they're done here. Then tell them.
Just meant.
Yeah, it came down. It's all right, dude.
Just aligning these, getting them prepped for the big nail gun. Woo woo, look at Devin. Hey. Once we put some of these in there, we don't want to have to take them out. As you saw right now, how many nails we put in there, and imagine if we would have done it incorrectly. We have to pull all of those nails out and redo it. So it's so important to measure twice, 3 times, 4 times if you have to. And then when you go use this big, heavy nail gun, then you have all the measurements right and you have to pull them out. It's a lot of work.
Feel more confident after you asked your question about measurement?
I am so happy that I asked that. And just to go double check my knowledge, I was able to find that while I was gone, they were measuring and the measurements were actually done incorrectly, just a little far off. So it wasn't very big of a deal because we were able to fix it right away. But just because I was curious, I went to go double check, and then, you know, somebody had measured from the inside of the post versus outside. So that definitely makes me feel more confident, but it made me feel like I learned something very valuable today, especially because I saved us what could have been 30 to 45 minutes of extra work that didn't have to happen. So